Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is uh, Monday, February the 4th, 2019, and I'm with Lisa Flamino Rush and BZ Rieger, and we're going to talk about, I love this when BZ came up with it, Astride, the balance beam of the two worlds. And this is kind of made me think when you first said it about uh, when you did a picture for us once before about the two train tracks, and we're kind of like this, but this is a little bit different too, because the energetic feels like a balance beam, is very, very narrow, very narrow. So
you have to be very balanced to navigate and stay upon it.
So what did you have in mind with that title, BZ? Where did you see this particular conversation
Well,
taking?
One of the things that's kind of been noodling in my conversations, and then things I've noticed either in some other beings' conversations or in a couple tweets, and I don't have a lot of time to watch all those things, but the ones that kind of are part of the noodling swim by and get in my conversation soup, and that is that it's that things right now are either or. So like either you're awake and kind of in the sense of a truther, and that there's some part of the false construct and there's more going on behind the scenes, like in draining of the swamp and all that kind of stuff, or you're more spiritual and you think everything's butterflies and unicorns and all that kind of stuff, and no need to worry about any of that kind of stuff. And I've never understood that. I've just never understood that. And I've never understood the construct of making it either or. You know what I mean? I never, yeah. That's what I mean. I don't understand.
That's what I was about to ask, but I'm glad you cleared that up, because you're saying that you don't understand it being one way or the other.
No.
For me, clearly it's both and all, but.
Right. Yeah. So I've never really understood how you could only be in one place and not look at the other, or if something that you're exploring or a conversation that you're having, or just like for the IUV, if an article that is being posted or something is about one thing, that doesn't mean, because we are both of those things. And if for no other reason, the false construct and all the bad guys and all that kind of stuff on various levels are incredibly spiritual. People who are spiritual may not like to hear that, but nonetheless, it's the case. That's one of the reasons that the false construct has worked so well, has been so complex and so sublimely delicious in the way that it's constructed, and has worked for so long to have people toeing the line and completely snowed and sound asleep and all sorts of other euphemisms, because they bloody well know how to use all the different things of the fact that they're just not born and worm food and die. So then you have I guess I get a little hot under the collar, but I don't understand. I don't understand. To me, it's completely both, and that's the way through. That so I can't even remember what the word I asked you about that I put at the beginning of the title, and you came up with Astride, and that's why it's perfect, because you're so one of the reasons that I really liked it is there's two beings on two horses, and they're racing down two balance beams that are right next to each other. So they're astride the balance beams, and they can be doing this weaving back and forth. So if one balance beam, quote unquote, is, the truther or the more linear or, the badasses, and then there's good people sort of thing. And the other one's kind of the, the more quantum and more mystical and more superpowers, and, they're riding. But that's what this is all about, is being astride and weaving. And I'm not just talking, carefully, I'm talking booking down the balance beam, like you're Olga Korbut, and you're, doing all those incredible things.
Well, but you see, BZ, that in order to see that it is not one or the other, and actually is indeed both, one has to be open first to seeing those things. That was the first step. That is, in my view, the very first step, because one of the things I've seen about myself is that programming and conditioning really teaches us not to be open. Don't look over here. I mean, there's some of that false, okay, you can look over here, but don't look too far. I'll tell you how far you can look. Don't look any further. Don't think you can look on your own, because, you're not qualified to do that.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the way we get taught. And so for me, I get angry too, because, or not angry anymore, but it's a righteous anger at this point, because it's like, there's a whole lot of we're one, and that sort of thought that goes on. And, same kind of thing when you have on either side, whatever the side of whatever it is that someone can't see beyond, there's not an openness or a willingness to consider anything outside of it doesn't pick a topic. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
We can only go so far. That's but those are all limitations and that we've accepted and then continued to perpetuate on our own selves.
That's it.
Never mind everybody else, because, I think for me, I feel what you're saying, because I see the same. I feel the same way about it. It is not either or. It never has been. It's been that's been part of the twist that I see.
Well, if it was, just one, there's no way. Just so think for a minute. Think of all of the machinations, and think of all of the complexity and the breadth and depth of the, I'll speak very linear probably for this whole conversation, the deceit and the treachery and the vile, evil things that have been perpetrated. And there's no way possible that you can snow an entire civilization's worth for eons beyond, we think that the known history is a couple thousand years old. Oh, well, there's a big joke. Is that I rest my case. We can, so to snow everybody on all of these things, or that it's just the Democrats, or that it's just been, the last 75 or 100 years. There's no possible way that you could snow everybody to the depth and breadth of the snowingness of that, if it was not of both, fully of both of those things. It's just not possible. You don't have enough criminal minds that are savvy enough or creative enough to do that because they're not working from just the 3D, third dimensional level experiences, abilities, capabilities, and mind, twisting, perceiving, constructing. It's just not possible. The way for me, I guess that's why I had that vision of the two balance beams right next to each other, and riding fast, and I'm on two different horses. So that which is me, that's the warrior of light, is on an incredibly powerful war horse with my sword and doing battle, and have been for 55 years, absolutely, positively, and not in just an imagined sort of way, like with physical kind of stuff. And at the same time, the other horse, is a wayshower, and doing that. So it is this dance. One of the ways to stay astride and to not stumble or tumble off is to, and again, it depends where you are and how you're doing it, to feel into, to have that balance where yes, all of this is going on and it requires all of these things. And if you're focusing too much on, just the nitty gritty, or just a particular battle, or a particular ramification, or a particular punitive, retribution, and you stand there and you're slicing and dicing the opponent right the minute, instead of just dispatching them and moving on, you've taken your eye off the whole prize, which is to flow through all of this, to be of service, to win the battles, to win the whole, not only the skirmishes, but the whole different campaigns that go up. And I guess it for me, it boggles the heart, how it can be perceived as any way but those two things. They're inextricably linked. Look at anything, any piece of any of this, and absolutely guaranteed, all the ones that people think of just about any tweet or anything that's going on about, the bad guys or the things that are being revealed, any single one of them, there is, if not directly from the being who's perpetrated, by their handlers, by their whether it's one of these sleeper cells and the beings that are woke up, and Comey's twitting them to wake them up, or the capability, the capacity, the components in their mind to work all of these things out and have the beyond third dimensional frequency, knowledge, and capability is a must. It's essential. So it would follow that we bloody well better be doing both if we want to, come out on the expansive side of this.
So it feels for me like, because there are things that I have felt. You were talking earlier in regards to your warrior horse with your sword, okay? And this is a multi-dimensional feeling that you've described there. And I don't know if this is part of this conversation, but I feel like it is in some way, and I'm not quite sure how or why, but it all comes to bear, whether we know it or not, whether we believe it or not. we are multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And I am finding, as I'm relaxing into more of me and just flowing with what I get, and quite frankly, believing what I get,
Yeah.
instead of going, oh wow, you're a really good storyteller, Sheila. I don't know what you're telling yourself up there, but instead of acting like that about the things that I'm getting,
Uh-huh.
instead of feeling like that, just allowing and feeling it, I'm coming to find that I'm shown more and more, and I feel more and more, which um, it feels like it. And I'm not saying this right. I know I'm not conveying this properly, and so I don't know if it's going to translate properly. But this that you're talking about is part of this multidimensional feeling that I've been having, that I'm relating to what you're saying in this conversation. I have for a long time envisioned myself in different ways, in different forms, with this giant obsidian sword. It's a vision that I've had about myself for a long time. And you know, I was like, okay, well, whatever, right? When you first start having these things. But now I'm very clear that there are things going on in other realms that I am part of, that's a real, honest to goodness thing. And it affects this reality. The things that we do in these other densities, dimensions, realms.
And it's not, you're absolutely right. And it's not just other, it's right here now.
No, exactly. It's slight. I say it like that, but it's slight, and a lot of times it's slightly out of phase, but it's all here now.
Yeah. That's why this is a war for your focus and attention, because it's about your power is in your focus and attention, right? Because you have to use it in order to do what BZ is describing. You have to be totally in control of your own focus and attention, and you have to tune into what it is that you need to know when to ride your warrior horse. And you can't do that if you aren't tuned into that, right?
No, exactly correct. BZ was saying earlier as well about the bad guys. Okay. We give them lots of labels: the cabal, the Illuminati, the families, whatever. Okay. And I've also heard them referred to as black magicians or dark magicians or whatever. And I got news for everybody. As far as I'm concerned, we're all magicians, because that's just what we are. And that is what that's describing, is that focus and attention that you were just speaking on there. Because that is, BZ, you were exactly correct. And that is what makes the most sense. Those folks have been trained for eons, make no mistake, that happens in these families, how to focus their attention and bring about
and garner yours.
Yeah. and those families are just middle management or upper middle management. That's it.
That's right.
There's a glass ceiling right over them, and that's it.
But
so if you're not thinking that, just to nail this down a little bit more, if you're not thinking that this doesn't have to do with other worlds and other realms and the spiritual aspect of it, well, then you're missing the boat if you want to take down the deep state, if you want to take the Illuminati and all this other kind of stuff, because you're missing the controllers.
Well, quite frankly, here's the way I view this, BZ. they're counting on the fact that you don't believe that they have control over and know what to do with their focus and attention, and that they have all of this assistance from other realms, and that this is all going on. They're counting on that. And so far, it's worked pretty darn good, because everybody has, oh, I'm just this lowly, whatever that gets to one time round the old lollipop stand here, and that's it. And so, I'm powerless, and so I might as well go off and eat Doritos and watch the Super Bowl and forget about it all, and allow my focus and attention to be wherever anyone else or doing whatever else. And then, of course, well, that's the whole thing about being complicit, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
We allow ourselves to be distracted at every turn. And the excuse a lot of times is a lot of different reasons. I got to make the donuts. I got to pay the mortgage. I got to.
Well, again, that's all counted on. And it's hidden in plain sight. And you mentioned the Super Bowl, and, talk about hidden in plain sight. The biggest culmination of satanic rituals and child trafficking and huge ceremonies that go on, and use the power of all the beings who are in thrall in their TV sets or in the stands and all that kind of stuff. They're like, wow, these people are just sound asleep.
Well,
they're not tuning into themselves at all.
Absolutely. Talk about focus and attention. Oh, for my goodness sakes. If focus and attention, and that is a lot of it, that is, for me, that is everything.
And there's an entire set of industries.
Oh, yeah.
Around it that keep it just really hyped, and yeah.
Well, I love that you put the that young gal, Really Grace, the video that she did. It's only 12 minutes, and I'm sure that if you guys, anybody that's following this channel knows about the IUV. I'll put a link though in the show more section of this video to the IUV where that video is. It's only 12 minutes, and it's the dark history of the Super Bowl. And I thought she did an excellent job.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting here watching it with Albert, and I stopped it and I said, oh my God, that's linked to JFK. And that was the next thing out of her mouth, was that it was linked to that there were links to the Kennedy assassination.
Right.
And so, yeah, we don't, it doesn't take very long for stuff to get buried in history. And then folks don't know or
right.
Just totally forget about it, because again, it's that focus and attention that is always directed elsewhere. Yep. That's a lot of what the whole idea of scarcity is about.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because we're all scared we're not going to have enough money to make it to the whatever. And, it's all about scarcity. And that's the biggest lie that there is to direct our attention.
And when you're astride that, that balance beam, for me, as you're simultaneously riding both of your horses and you're doing, both, each is a conduit and a very wide breadth and depth of missions in each one, as you go through and you do these things. If you're too much on, one or the other, first of all, you're going to miss the stride of the horse to leap from one horse to the other, to use that metaphor, or you've gone, then you talk about focus and attention. Well, you're not going straight ahead. You're leaped off, and now you're on the ground. And how do you get back on the balance beam? It's
Right.
Because make no mistake about it, all the beings, the systems, the structures, the false construct components know this very well. From this is ingrained in them, beaten into them, fused into them, on every tool and capacity that you can't even conceive of into them, lest they ever have any ability to not remember it. And it's part of it's as automatic as breathing. So so one of the things that was in the whole conversation I had and the videos that I was watching, creating, and it's hard to describe how it comes in, but that a lot of things are changing, and yes, it's important to be aware of and focused on what's going on, but not so that you're pulled off of it and what's next. So you can pick up be the light warrior and go off and do those battles, but you understand that you're moving forward, and this is a necessary component of your own expansion, what you're doing, but you're staying focused ahead. Just like a lot of there's a lot of talk these days, and I'm thrilled that there is talk these days of what comes next, and but there's a lot of talk that that there are tribunals going on right now, but they're kept secret, and well, that's just not going to fly, because beings have to wake up to what's going on. They don't have to watch them, they don't have to follow in depth, but they have to have an understanding that what is actually going on. And then, so that's part of it. And then you get to the next step. Well, a shift in the currency. Well, figuring out what the real currency is would be helpful. That would give you a big shift right then and there. And what the true value is, and all those kinds of things. But again, it's some is the thought, well, it's going to take 30, 40, 50, hundreds of years. Well, then you're just playing small again. You're not focused. You've hopped off the balance beam. You're not astride that. I'm not sure where you're astride. Maybe some ditch over there to the right or the left. Because we can make all of these things happen. And yes, it's a change, but it's using all of our innate abilities. And if we don't know we have them, then that's time to wake up to that. It's something that we do ourselves. It's something that we watch and play with other people doing it. But it is that balance, and it is that it's a full out. We're beyond a full out gallop on our horses, or are a combination of a Pegasus and a unicorn and all sorts of things that have all these capacities. And make no mistake about it, they're not airy-fairy at all. They're fierce, and they are focused.
Well, I think that, like you said, I feel a shift as well. I keep coming back to folks have to be open. They have to open. They just have to open. I don't know. That's, for me, that's the bottom line. And it have to be open to hearing a thing. Can't be shut down about anything. The time has come now. There are I liked what was being said about creating etheric structures. There are etheric structures that we're creating now. There's like these big energetics that are in motion. There's a bit of a pause, I feel like, but there's the time to be open to seeing things in a new way is now. There's lots of, again, there, because of the whole idea of focus and attention. I see lots of things that are metaphors that are being missed. You know, when we talk about doing this, okay, there are things on both sides of that that need to be weaved and seen for what they are, I feel, that are being missed. The revalue is one of them. The reset. You know, that's all, that feels all metaphor for me. Not, it could be, it's one of those things that is in the etheric structure, but it also feels same girl, different party dress to me. So yeah. I'd like to know that whole thing. I'd like to see the revalue be where we know. I know I'm the value.
Well, anything that you're not 100% standing in, being 100% responsible, accountable, and liable for your own being and the power that you are, hold, and wield is you're just giving your power away again. So any new system, whether it's monetary or something like that, any new structures, any new governments, any of those, any things, it's just more of the same. And aren't people enough done with that? You know, why would you perpetuate that when you're caterwauling about, you know, woe is me and you know, they've stuck it to me? Well, okay.
Well, no, exactly. No, you're exactly correct. That's why
what am I missing?
Well, no, you are exactly correct. That's why I keep saying there has to be a lot of openness to completely new. Not same girl, different party dress.
Right.
Not.
That's so important what you're saying right there. So what does that mean? That means you have to try on new ideas for size. You have to say, well, what would be something totally different? And allow yourself to go to places that are totally and completely different.
Yeah, because right now there's because of all the, you know, new folks that, well, we call them, they're new, but they're not new. But I mean, you know, folks that are just now rubbing their eyes, okay, just a little bit, right? Because of all of that, there's still this, and it's a lot out there that, yes, it's corrupt, but a lot of people think it's just broken and we need to fix it. It's not broken. None of these things are broken. They're all working. They are working brilliantly the way they were set up to work all along. The difference is we're starting to see what they were actually meant to do. And so there is no fixing any of this.
All right.
None of this can
again, here, so this is that, you know, you're astride the, okay, so I ride two horses at once, apparently, and there's two of me riding two different horses, but you're astride the balance beam and you're doing this. And actually part of this, it comes to mind, two things, is that it's your multiple strands of DNA that are all forming. It's not just the two strands, it's multiple strands. And it's, I don't quite understand all of this that I'm being given, but it's the, and I'm going to probably say it wrong or name it wrong, but the cladacious, sedacious, what's the, on the staff of the medical thing, the snake, the
Caduceus.
Okay.
Caduceus wand. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how that just came in. So I'm not sure all that, but that's part of this you know.
I know why it came in. First of
Why?
all, because the caduceus wand is a symbol of Kundalini.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's exactly why that's come in like that. It is the symbol that the medical establishment has taken over, but
Yes.
it is the caduceus wand was another symbol used by Mercury, the messenger of the gods, Hermes Trismegistus, but it is symbolic of Kundalini.
Okay.
And so that's why that has come in for you, I'm sure. Because
well, that makes absolute sense.
every time you did that, I saw the Kundalini every single time,
Right.
and I saw DNA every time you did
Right.
that. So,
hey, you know, I'm on 2 horses with wings. What do you want? Needless to say, it was a very active session at work when all this was coming in. But
well, I wanted to say this to you, BZ, because this has come in 3 times. Back to the whole thing about it is all multidimensional. That is the only explanation in my mind that can explain how and why it is, what is actually happening. When you look at how, I mean, just all of this, everything that's happening with the deep state, with Q, with all of this that's happening, for me, there is no other explanation except that the multidimensionality of all of it that is playing out in ways that are that can be seen, but not if you're looking at it from the 3D linear way. And even if you step back and look at it from a more expansive way, it can be fleeting. And you have to trust what you're getting for yourself when you look at those things, I feel like. And then
well,
because
I think right now, either, and I've said this for a while now, but right now, you're working really hard if you're not seeing it. And it's not about trusting anymore. It's that you're putting everything you've got to lie to yourself that you're not seeing what you're seeing, because it's unmistakable, it's undeniable. It's, you know, Mack trucks running right and left down every part of you, you know, with the air horns, ha! You know, kind of. So yeah. And the other one thing, I guess, it's funny, it was little bits, because I hadn't finished, I was looking at some different things, I hadn't finished any of them, but little bits and pieces, and because I might listen to something on my phone and then I have to stop and, you know, be at this job, that's the linear job, for a minute. And but you just to go back to, you were talking about the different structures. So, you know, governments and financing and stuff. Well, for me and a whole lot of other beings, there will not come a time, and it will not stand, that you know, oh, this government entity or this faction or coalition, you know, has decided to take X amount of time for these, you know, little plebeian brain human beings to kind of catch up, because we don't want to shock them, or they're asleep, or it's too much, or any other kind of, you know, euphemisms for perpetuating that they're small again. And no matter what the disguise is of being helpful or open-hearted, or because if they're doing that, they're not. But that it's not about rule anymore, and it's not about being done to anymore for your own good anymore. That's what, you know, everybody is, and they're demonstrably doing it more and more and more and more, where you are pulling Excalibur from the stone, and you are becoming that full embodiment of your sovereignty, of the multidimensional sort, and your singularity. And it's not, will not stand to do that. So again, so how do we, kind of some specific things when we're astride this balance beam. If you watch the other horse running along beside you, and you go, because you're maybe just on the unicorn thing over here, and you're not watching it, or vice versa, whichever. But it goes in tandem. So you are fighting the battles, and you are winning the skirmishes, and you are doing the strategy and the planning, and you are doing the energetic work, and you are doing the grid work, and you are doing all of the way-showerness in various realms, in various activities, whether you're aware of it or not, because you are doing it. But balancing that is the key. And as you do it astride, full out, you're full out beyond a gallop, because you're on this winged being that is carrying you through that. And so when you think of those things, if someone says, well, people aren't ready for that, well, then what is in you that is holding on to that smallness and putting that smallness on other beings? So it doesn't mean you figure out all the answers, right? You're not, it may take some iterations. It may be that it's this way and this way and this way and this way, and can be very quick, rotations and evolutions. Maybe it's a couple growing cycles worth of growing food, growing economies, growing whatever it is, but it's a whole new way of looking at things. Of course, I kept myself from bursting out laughing. And we hear all about the economy, right? And we're told what economy is, what a good economy is. And we've got economists, and hello, can you say, like, at the mother's breast milk of the false construct, because you have an economist and he or she tells you what? I guess I don't see how you, at every turn, one is not going, yeah, good luck with that.
Well, here's part of that, as far as I'm concerned. I know what an economist is, but I really don't care. And and that's been part of the complicity. Okay. What I mean by that is we've allowed somebody with the letters after their name to tell us what we think we might want to know or need to know, because they went to school for that, so they know. And and then I'm just going to believe them because they went to school and they paid all that money. But it's a
ruse. They went to the ruse school to have the label and the alphabet soup after their name for that particular venue, section, conduit of ruseness,
right,
called economistness.
That they paid a pretty penny.
Well, and I saying it kind of funny, but I'm absolutely fiercely serious about this, and people take it on, and you're letting someone else perpetuate your smallness again.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It all goes down to, for me, it actually comes down to advertising. Because that's pretty much what we're looking at here. I feel like we've all been sold this bill of goods, okay? That we need to do things in this certain way, right? Pick a way, doesn't matter to me, I don't care. Pick a way, doesn't matter. We've all been sold in some manner that this way is the way, right? Whatever it is. And they know better than we do, so it's got to be right. And that's with anything and everything. And when it comes to these constructs, like you're speaking on, that because now everybody's looking around like, okay, well, and Lisa's had this so much in her life when she tried to talk to people about, we don't need money, and everybody's eyes glaze over and start panicking. What do you mean? We can't do without money. How do we do anything if we don't have money? Well, I mean, what do we need a middleman for? I mean, so there's been concepts and ideas that we've been sold, and we've bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. And instead of looking around and saying, okay, well, wait a minute, this isn't working. It has never really worked. We just were sold that it worked. And now it's time for something completely different. And I don't think it's really that hard. It's just that there's still a bunch of people wandering around thinking, well, wait a minute. Everybody, a lot of thinking small. Everybody wants their sovereignty, and yet they still want to try to fix something that they think is broken or
a
and
savior,
right. Or yes.
Thank there's a lot of well, thank God Q came along. Well, hello, you're all source, and you brought Q along for this metaphor for you to wake up. And same with Trump or whatever, because he's doing a lot for being a catalyst for waking an awful lot of people up, and an awful lot of those people cannot stand him. Doesn't matter. He's doing a terrific job being a catalyst to wake those people up.
Well, quite frankly, if you look at all of those things that we just were talking about right there, Q and Trump and all of the things that are going on right here, and you cannot see the multidimensionality of it, and all of the metaphors that are contained within all of that as well. Mm-hmm. That just open a little bit more, relax the way you look at a thing, because it's right there. I mean, it's the only thing that explains all of it. Mm-hmm. For me. Yeah, I just keep coming back to open. That's all I keep getting, is because there's lots and lots and lots of really great folks out there that it's like they that have stepped up to a certain place or a certain willingness to see a thing. Okay.
Right.
And I realize that some of it's cognitive dissonance. I get that, but I also know that can be worked through. And now that some of these etheric structures that I feel are well, and templates of unbinding and unwinding that's been done by loads of folks at this point, it is becoming easier. That's why I keep being open is one of the easiest things a person can do, because you don't have to have any judgments. You don't have to make any decisions. Nobody's asking you to believe anything. Just try it on for size. Feel into it. Be open. No one's trying to sell anybody anything. Just be open. That's my thing.
Yeah, and I was waiting. It took a little while, but who's going to take out the trash?
That's so funny.
So when you have a serious question like that about the trash or something else, well, what are you feeling to that? What are you, stand fully in your power and astride, the balance beam of you do this. So what do you see as the way to construct it? How are you going to get your own trash taken out? Dematerializing trash and all sorts of other things. I published something, I had to laugh. I pulled a few pull quotes, and I absolutely pulled that one. I thought that was a star pull quote, the person who was interviewing her said, you dematerialize your own trash? I thought, yeah, that goes right at the top. So we can do all of these things. And how do we figure out how to do them in mechanical? Well, how have we figured out how to do all the things that are right here that you take for granted that are just commonplace, that you don't realize that you do all of the time? So we figure this out, and we can figure it out very, very, very quickly, because now we're using all of us. Each being is beginning to use all of us in how to do this. And as we're breaking through with the energies, and I have to laugh because this is why it's a really damn good thing that you are multidimensional, because now you're not, the tinkering that went on is being unwinded, unbinded to go back to the organic human and then leap forward to the new being that you are becoming, right? But so that latch on there, that was the only 10% of your brain functions. Well, now that comes on, and then it charges right ahead. The horse takes off and is flying now with, I don't know, 300, 400, 500% of what you have now on your capacity of your brain.
Well, yes, but I go back to that being open and focus and attention, because if your focus and attention is over here at the, woe is me, or something's crumbling, or I can't, the limits, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or whatever, then, that's what you bring about as a creator, what you bring about your, think about you're going to bring about.
Well,
so
and again,
that much more important.
Even if you just rode the line of the linear, I characterize it as the warrior of light, where you're actually physically dismantling and engaging in these battles. But why are you taking what's being handed to you still? And at what point do you become responsible for something that you don't like to shift it in a different way? Either throw it down, let it go, burn it, reconstruct it, take it apart, use the pieces to build something. I mean, there's lots of different, metaphors and euphemisms and analogies that you can use for those kinds of things. But, it's up to each one of us to do this, and so you can look at civilizations and, well, how did one in just, okay, let's pretend just for a minute that, we've only been around, I don't know, how long are we supposed to have been around for, like 2,500 years or something like that. And back when Jesus walked, and, well, how did people know how to make bowls? Like, did someone come and say that, the government told them how to make a bowl? I mean, come on. I mean, and not to be ridiculous, but these are these things that, you fashion with it and you play with it, and someone liked it and it was pleasing, and it was useful. And so this is how everything works. And what's beautiful is that you could look at the energies, you could look at the soil in which you are growing now and unfurling the capacity and the abilities and the wherewithal, just on a tangible, blinkers on linear perspective. It's all magnified in your ability and capacity to do that. And so you can do it yourself. You can watch something and play with that. You can, I mean, how did all these different pieces of music get played? Did someone tell them, oh, you can only do it this way? I mean, you can look at any particular, how did all these flowers, think of the zinnia, how many zinnias are in there? You like zinnias as a summer bouquet and stuff. Well, do you even know how many zinnias, and where'd they all come from? Someone created them. Someone was playing with them and was sitting there and watching, and or the little girl was holding one up and said, oh, look at this one. Is it, because there was different color or different cross-pollination. Anything and everything goes down this whole thing. It's what we do. We're creator beings, and we've created this whole construct to be small and precipitate others being small, and that's done now.
Yep. I feel that, and I feel that being open, just becoming more open to trying just that concept on right there is very helpful. It's like a first step, being open to if one cannot step into the idea of being limitless, then at least open oneself up to being more than you think you are.
Well,
I don't know. It doesn't take.
Just
It won't take long.
acknowledge what you already do and are right this moment in your smallness. So I can guarantee you, every single being who is in this conversation and partaking of it, because it's an eternal energetic envelope, right? In this moment, no matter how small and put upon and constricted they are, there are so many things that they're capable of and that they do routinely, that if they just honored themselves I'm not talking about anything else, just stay small, in the box, head down, and they honored exactly what those things are, you'd be shocked.
Well, I'll go you one better, because the minute you started talking about that, I was thinking, all anybody has to do is sit and really think about what, and I can already hear at least one or two beings out there going, yeah, well, okay, but just in sitting in this chair right now and not paying attention at all to what's going on within my being, there are trillions of things taking place within my physical being that I'm not putting any focus and attention on whatsoever, but they're still taking place and I'm in control of them. I'm not focusing on them right now, but we've had conversations before where if I directed my focus and attention, I could make myself warmer. Remember that? When I was freezing?
Yeah.
So we are so much more than we think we are, even as we just becoming open to seeing that. That's why I keep going back to being open, is just be open to looking at it, like you said, BZ, even in your smallness, you're not small. Mm-hmm. In any way, shape, or form. And if one really truly thinks that in their physical body that they have no control over stuff, oh, please come have a conversation with me in person. I know that we have way more control over so much more than we even can conceive in regards to our own physicality.
Well, we find out all the time when we make ourselves sick.
Yep.
You know, you said someone scoffed at the trillions of things going on in your body. Well, okay, so how do you like it now when something's not working because you weren't paying attention to the marvel that you are? You're marvelous. Get over it.
Well, and the signs were there all along that what you were doing wasn't right. And you pushed that away to conform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. To conform, because that's kind of the ultimate peer pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the way we've always done things.
Yeah. It's a self-policing type situation that we've had go on here. And so, so now what we need is a different sort of police force. Hey, you're thinking too small over there. pull over.
Yeah, I've kind of had that vibe going on lately. Like, wait a minute. Why is your big dream so tiny anyway?
Well, actually, you can do that with yourself. It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Someone was saying some stuff out of more thoughts than questions, but well, I don't know how to be a warrior. I don't know I can't go out and protest. You can do it in your own way. So what I mean by that is, if you're feeling, that you can't go and be someone in France with the yellow vest, or going to stand up when someone's not hurt, you can do it in different ways. So if you're feeling that you have results of the shifts in your body that are going on, then speak about the shifts in your body that are going on, instead of using an socially acceptable cover story for it. When you have a knowing of something, then own up to the knowing of something. So stop letting your light under a bushel, and be who you are. And that isn't selling, and that isn't hawking, because that's not who you are. So these there are so many infinitesimal little things that each being can do, that don't cost any money, that take a nanosecond to do. Again, it's just focus and attention. It's being noticing, where those things come up, and you don't have to do it when anybody else is around. Do it for yourself. So if you're honest with yourself first, and love yourself first, and will honor yourself first, then you can do it. Or if you have a child or a partner or whatever it is, go for there, or a dog or a pet or whatever it is, because they're doing it for you.
Yep.
Why do you think they're your pet? They're a fur warrior of light, and you're on their to-do list to come and be loved with you. So
wow.
this came up for me. Part of it was a linear thing of scratching my head, not understanding how to I just don't know how to hold that, whether it's one or the other. And that it's so exciting and so exhilarating and so comforting and so sublimely delicious to be astride this balance beam, because you could think of it as as a steel girder that's building all the new things, or this incredibly big sword that's slashing down all the old things, or it's this huge never-ending furrow where we're planting all these new seeds that are coming to fruition. I mean, lots of that's just a few ways off the top of my head to hold it as, but
No, I agree. I'm hearing some buts out there in regards to how long all of this is taking and all of that, because that always comes up whenever the dismantling of the old comes up. I always hear that question, or I hear the exasperated, well, it's taking too long.
Well, so my question then is, that's what I was talking about. You can do it in a small way. So have you dismantled everything within you that is supporting, holding up, part of believing in, letting yourself be subject to the smallness that someone's putting in? Are you done with that? Are you finished? Are you complete? Are you good?
Well, I agree. I'm in full agreement.
And I'll tell you how you know when you've had enough of that. you don't feel trapped by it anymore. And it doesn't even matter that it continues to swarm all around you and that nobody sees it right now. That doesn't even matter really. And what begins to matter is, oh, what do I do with my focus on attention? What do I wish to experience right now? And in that space, it's okay. Honestly, it's okay with me that this system is still going on, because what that tells me is that there are those people who need to see it, and so it must continue to circus for them, not for me. I am not trapped by it. I am not affected by it. I live with it, basically, I guess side by side, because what I'm doing now is exploring the reality where none of that is even a consideration. So yeah, I saw it for myself, and I unwound and unbound it inside of me, meaning it has nothing to do with me. I'm not feeding it any longer. And I was feeding it, it was there so that I could see how I was feeding it. And then once I did that, I stopped feeding it. And now I'm really discovering who I am, and that I am total abundance. I am all of those things that I thought when I was in the slavery mode were being withheld from me in some fashion. And really, all of those things are me. How funny.
It's brain teaser.
What a cute trick.
Yeah, and for me, that's where the astride that balance beam, where the warrior is doing my role, my part to slash and decimate those different things in the various different ways that I've been charged to do, and to also realize, as you just said, that that I can ride alongside of it, and I that's what I was talking about, those bandwidths,
create the new
and create the new. Yeah,
at the same time. Yeah.
And so when I have a moment, it's a moment in contrast where something at the linear job comes up, and it's frustrating or annoying or whatever, my reaction is usually to burst out laughing, because I'm thrilled, because there's a little piece, like a piece of lint, I can take it off, I can integrate it, and I can, in that moment, be in my warrior of light to literally, figuratively, tangibly change the system in that job, and do other things so that it enhances more. And I'm not talking about working in a place when I got it where they were even anywhere near a whiff of wokeness. So.
Because that's not a requirement. It's an inside job that you are in full control.
And that's changing. The wokeness quotient is expanding.
Well, there are a whole lot of folks that will hear this, have heard this, are participating in this envelope. They're saying, well, yeah, but, because they're still the hung up on the whole money thing. And I'm not quite sure of the way to explain it that is not, that is linear and yet gets across what Lisa just related. Because there seems to be this thought process that as long as this or that is still going on, then you can think what you like, but you're still a slave. And I refute that for a couple of reasons, because of exactly what Lisa said. this harvesting mechanism harvests energy. And right now it is apparently until all the unbinding and unwinding and all the beings that need for it to be unbound and unwound in yet have seen it for what it is going to continue, obviously. Because I honestly thought it would be over by now too, myself, right?
Yeah.
But I've also seen where there's a whole crap ton of beings yet that have not unbound and unwound or really felt into what exactly is being harvested here. It's not just the the hours that you put in your job, and
That's just a euphemism for
that's just a euphemism. It is every ounce of energy that I hate my job, I got to go do my job. It's all those things that are being harvested in and of and around that entire thing.
Yeah, it's the light in your eye. It's the spark. It's the creative flow. It's funny. Someone said, you don't understand. And I chuckle at that because I actually have understood this from just about, well, I haven't been in jail yet, but just about everything between having a very high net worth at one time, having so every side of the spectrum, being homeless, absolutely, honest to God, homeless twice. So my linear brain, my stuckness, my propensity to argue with, but you don't understand, or whatever it was, that's what I'm calling it now, for me, to perpetuate and not honor myself, and not, when I would say, but, well, then figure it out, So anyways, I danced with this. I came around from every side of it and went through every, like I said, with the exception of jail, came close on those things, but every side of all of these things, yeah, been there, done that. And that's how, for me, if it's not a pleasant road, so there are lots of other roads now with the energies and everything to avail yourself of, and to wake up to, and to tune into, and start to honor yourself in that. So take them, or you can do it my way. It was cool, adventurous, lots of stuff to explore and delve into. But these things are that way, and it hones you. It cleaves off parts of the distortions and the distractions and the euphemisms and the don't understands and all these kinds of things, and it hones you to diamond bright, because that's the frequency that you get. And for me, it was so that I could understand all of the different avenues and all the different hardships and all the different things. It's not lost on me why I went through all those things. Firsthand experience, linear, tangible, nothing metaphysical, multidimensional. Nothing.
I feel ya. I got a few of them stories myself.
And it wasn't just about money. It was, about physical, mental, emotional, the whole, every single, make a list, and I've checked it a lot of them twice.
Yeah, I'm pretty thorough, so
yeah.
got right after that. But those are good skills, being thorough, see? Because now...
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm using my focus and attention.
I came by my fierceness, honestly.
That's right.
I just focusing the fierceness on the right stuff now.
That's right, see? Woo-hoo!
And I wouldn't change a thing. Absolutely would not change.
Same. I feel the same, absolutely.
And
Because
someone said, "Oh, come on," and I could tell you that in the moment, and there was a couple bazillion moments of each form of torture, literally and figuratively, each form of all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this wasn't really a good idea, and this really sucks, and why me, and yada 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 yada. But still, even in that moment, there was that fierceness, there was that spark, because I'm not, and none of us are missing anything.
Well, this has been an excellent conversation, BT. And the word you were using earlier was straddle. So I can see why now on the other side of this conversation that astride was a much, why that came in like it did.
Much better word.
Yeah. So, well, my whole offering in the entire conversation is the easiest thing that anyone can do for being astride is to be open. Just be open to seeing things about self, to seeing just to seeing and feeling everything, because it certainly has made it easier and much more quick. For me, I see, the more open I can be to everything. So, wow. Do either one of you wish to add anything further to this particular envelope, ladies?
Not for me.
No? Okay. All right. Well, we will have all the usual things in all the usual places, and I did make a note this time to add that link to the dark history of the Super Bowl that BZ put up on the IUV. I thought that was a very well done little piece, and quite frankly, it actually went a long way to bringing into this conversation for me a whole bit about the advertising, the fact that we've kind of been sold on certain ways of doing things, and it's up to us to unwind and unbind all of that now. And I know that we're up to the task because there's a lot of us doing that.
Yeah. And one thing I will add to that, you mentioned that again, is that, someone said, well, that's not mainstream or current. That's just some YouTuber. Well, okay. Then look at the 54-minute and I think 6-second conversation discussion that President Trump led, although he didn't speak for most of it, other people did, and they right in there tell you that the Super Bowl is the biggest human trafficking event, and the things that they're going to do it. So it's all hidden in plain sight. It's time for everybody to wake up. You don't need to dive into all the details of it unless you want to. Fine. But it's all right there, and that's. This may seem odd to some people, but that's just a very small portion of what's hidden in plain sight of what's going on. And now is the time. I mean, everything is being revealed. All masks are coming off. All systems, structures, entities, beings are all the rubble, all of the distortions, all of the facades, all of that. So whether it's made out of bricks and mortar or flesh or structures or communities or however you want to say it, all that's all coming down into the shining lights that are all right there to illuminate.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. That's a true statement right there. You're You're absolutely right. You gotta be, a person has to be blindfolding themselves not to see what's happening at this point, because some of the demasking that's going on just makes the body go, oh, okay, well, that's it. I didn't see that coming. Okay, well, thanks, ladies. This was a really good one, and we'll see everybody next time. Mwah.